Over in the bottom left from Team Alternate Attacks, we have Carlos Giannaco, also known as ClouD.
I forgot to bet.
That's right, guys. Betting is
sorry.
now open. I can say that. I can say that.
I just rudely interrupted you, Frodo, to be like, oh, I can't bet now. I'm actually a little sad.
Converting people into gambling one at a time. In the top right, from Team Liquid, it is Zenio, also, called Jungmin Choi in real life. Zenio, one of the big pickups from OGS in terms of the Korean acquisitions to a foreigner team. A lot of people were very excited when Hero came, and then Zenio came, and then Taja came, and now they have C. Team Liquid has an extremely solid roster. I do know that they're still doing pretty well in Team League, so I can't wait to see how Zenio is able to perform towards the second half of the season. Actually, it's the last third of the season, Andre. It's week 7, so at most you can have 3 games left. This is the crunch time. You have to win this series. If ClouD wants to stick around for NASL Season 5, this is a must-win.
3 games, unless you're someone like Sen, who has like 30 different makeup games. But for the most part, the door is closing on these players. Their position has pretty much been set in stone. And it's going to be very difficult for anybody to move around quite drastically, although some of the positions of these divisions are very tightly bound. So you could see a little bit of movement, but I think it's pretty restricted for ClouD. Zenio definitely needs to have a good showing here. Losing to ClouD would be very, very terrible for him. But at the same time, it's not like ClouD doesn't want to try. Not only does he want to give his very best, in my opinion, he can win $150 too. Don't want to forget about that.
That's right, guys. $150 goes to the winner of this best of 3 on top of regular division wins. ClouD scouting with his SCV right after his initial barracks. No early gas, so he's just going to go for a quick expansion.
That's right. No second barracks, obviously, on the map, which is really common in Cloud Kingdom, actually. But here we're going to see a command center. I love this scout from Zenio, just making sure it is going to be a command center. Now, what he can do is cancel this command center and put down like 4 more barracks right behind this, but that's super risky because an Overlord is right around the corner. So there's not going to be any tomfoolery or shenanigans directly after this. Zenio getting a slightly later gas to different styles, like Life in the GSL likes to get a super early gas, actually right before his spawning pool, so he has metabolic boost super early. He can apply pressure, but Zenio, this is a very defensive metabolic boost that he'll be getting.
You see ClouD double gassing, so a natural transition to reactored Hellions. And from there, you can get Banshees out. You can transition to bio play if that's what you want to do. Early Marine pokes, but against early speed, obviously Marine pokes is suicide, so you don't want to do that. As Life has really demonstrated in a lot of his games. Not just Life, but players like Leenock is very aggressive. Hyun's also something like that too, who plays in this division. Now ClouD is a player that loves playing defensive, very passive macro into heavy aggression whenever he feels like he has an opportunity to move out. He said that that's probably been his biggest weakness because he's predictable in that sense, and Zergs know they can play greedy early on, and ClouD shouldn't be able to pick too much off with harassment, and that's where he feels like his greatest weakness TVZ is. I think that he was talking about that with Mr. Bitter in his interview, which subscribers can go watch if you check out all the things on NASL.tv.
That's right. Subscriber access is actually completely different than last season. I mean, I think the amount of material we put out on subscription is probably tenfold of what we put out last season.
I mean, I don't even feel really ashamed to say it, but NASL is by far the leader in terms of extra content on top of StarCraft games. A lot of companies just kind of broadcast games here and there, maybe have a highlight reel, but we really try to push out cool segments and other stuff, including things that help your health and fitness.
Yeah, and how to be fierce.
Bias.
No bias. No bias.
No bias.
You have probably the best segment that you did today.
Oh,
but
Andre.
People won't see that. People won't see that for a little bit. But
that's right. I did film a new film.
Me and Ben are actually planning on a new segment.
Yeah, I heard. I can't wait to see it, Andre.
I can't wait
to see everything, guys. Again, if you're just tuning in, I know some people are just straggling home from work and trying to tune on the stream, or maybe they're on their way back from work or from school. We're going to be showing lots of cool subscriber exclusive content tonight on the show in the live broadcast, just to kind of show you guys some of the options that you have on top of the things like HD, which is, you know, a natural thing. Availability of chat where you can interact, get points, win giveaways because of it. Like, for example, last week, the top 3 people who had the most points from betting and being able to chat got Heart of the Swarm beta keys. And that's another way to reward people who get premium access to the stream.
That's right. And obviously, Heart of the Swarm is one of the most anticipated upgrades.
Can't wait to see how
StarCraft.
the achievement things work with the
Yeah.
experience. That seems pretty cool.
That is going to be awesome. But nevertheless, we have one of the most standard openings from both these players. You can see ClouD is actually opening up for double eBay instead of double armor. He is getting his 3rd orbital command center over here and doing Hellion Banshee. He's stopped at this count of Hellions. So when you see the factory change over this quickly, this tells me that the Hellions really won't be super aggressive. They're not going to try to dart in and go behind enemy line, because these Hellions need to be out on the field to reduce the amount of creep spread. Creep spread is probably one of the most fantastic ways at actually stopping a lot of early game aggression, or at least mid game aggression, I should say. So I like what we're seeing by ClouD. I think for what Zenio is doing, because Zenio has to react still to like a big all-in. He's going ahead, already making Zerglings and Banelings, and that's actually going to slow him down quite drastically. I feel like Zenio is still in a decent position, but he's had to play this very defensive, unfortunately for him.
ClouD not able really to do anything with his Banshee here. Ask Queen immediately fends it off. Nice placement of a Spore just to be safe from Zenio. Doesn't know if it's Cloak or whatnot. ClouD, of course, has switched off his factory a while ago, starting to get just natural bio upgrades. Seems like he's just going to go for a standard Marine tank composition on this map. Although Zenio does have lots of Queens, so again, he's going to be safe early on against any Hellion pressure whatsoever. In fact, Zenio's being very, very safe. He's even got some Banelings ready just in case.
That's right. But you know what? ClouD is going to have a very powerful timing set up with this particular build order, because he's gotten the siege tank so very fast, and he hasn't really been able to do a lot of damage per se, but he has denied a lot. You can see there's not really creep into the middle of the map, which is really important to set up for continuations when you're doing these siege tank pushes. Now, because he was able to actually get these siege tanks out so fast, he should stabilize right now. Just get Marine, siege tanks, and prioritize your upgrades. And then you hit with 2-2. This is the most standard 2-2 timing that you could possibly do. And I really feel like if there's any Muta play coming out from Zenio, he's going to straight up die. Like there's no way you can deal with that 2-2 timing when you're just so delayed. And look at this. Spire Tech is going down. He canceled the Infestation Pit, put a Spire Tech down. And I feel like ClouD has the best possible build that can go up against. He has 2-2 lining up really nicely. As soon as Mutas pop out, 2-2 should be just about halfway finished. And look at that, prioritizing the upgrades. Frodan, ClouD is playing great.
Yep, pretty solid builder. Does, like you said, have a very solid 2-2. But I do like Zenio's, I guess the liberty he feels to go ahead and plant macro hatcheries as well as expand, and just feel free to do whatever. Although, even though the creep spread hasn't been as aggressive as normal Zergs on Cloud Kingdom, I think Zenio is still in a pretty prime position to defend, as long as he can catch win. He did see the triple orbital, so he knows. So I think Zenio, I feel like both players are just kind of saying, well, I'm very comfortable taking this position into the mid game and saying whether I'm going to be the aggressive one or you're going to be the aggressive one, I feel like my position is strong enough to fend off either way.
And I love this too. Look at this. Another macro hatchery is going down for Zenio. So he knows that, there is some impending attack coming up here, and I feel like ClouD is going out a little too early here, Frodan. I would actually really like him to back up from here. If anything, just hug this one tower. But pushing out from here seems really odd. I mean, you commit so much to all your essential upgrades, and then you're not going to wait for them. This is a lot of minerals and gas that could be allocated to this army, even combat shields, which is so important.
Yeah.
I feel like this is really, really scary for ClouD.
It's just going to give him extra durability, especially against the Banelings. So ClouD has to be very, very cautious, although this fourth base is under siege. Can Zenio catch things in time? Tanks are split very well. In fact, the Marine split is, or actually the Marine flank, rather, from being able to support the tanks is very strong. Zenio has a few mulets that's coming out of the field. In fact, this timing is even before Zenio's upgrades are finished, and he started a little bit earlier than what ClouD did in terms of this +2 melee.
Absolutely incredible. And from this, I guess I was completely wrong. ClouD is going to be way ahead from this engagement. And now 2-2 is going to finish. He has an upgrade advantage. He has pretty much a base advantage since equal bases are advantage for Terran, and he has an army advantage. So where is he really faltering here? 2-2 hits, and Zenio has no advantage at all. He has no tech advantage. Meters are pretty useless at this stage of the game with the amount of Marines out in the field. ClouD can just play the War of Attrition and constantly just deny the 4th base from ever going up.
Yeah, ClouD's maxed. His 2-2 is finished. Everything is looking good right now for ClouD as long as he doesn't get picked off in a bad engagement. But Zenio is going to try to summon the army back by threatening a flank, and there's no real vision for ClouD up here. He's making it a little bit risky without scanning, but he's just going to stem and go for it without his tanks are sieged. Oh, wow. If Zenio committed to that, he could have picked off several of those tanks, but ClouD now has a really strong position, Andre, and Zenio's just going to go for it.
Oh, man, this isn't going to go well. There's just too many Marines throwed in, and there you have it. I mean, ClouD just cleaning up everything. 2-2 had finished for Zenio, so he had equal upgrades, but there it is.
GG.
15 minutes into the game, we have the game already ending. Zenio had to tap out so easily there, and it's because a couple of things. If you want to give up your 4th base, you need something of power behind that. I feel Infestors are the much better way to go from there, especially when you're up against Bio. But when it comes down to it, I felt like Zenio actually committed too much into that defense. He didn't actually Overlord scout in, and that is one of the troubles of going such a delayed lair. He actually delayed his lair quite substantially. And when you do that, you can't get an Overseer in. You can't check if it's going to be Mech or Bio or if it's some sort of really, really big all-in like Marauder Hellion. Because of that, he has to kind of defend against everything. And when ClouD prepares for that push way beforehand, of course he's going to be way ahead in that game.
Yep, and the positioning from ClouD, he took a little bit of a risk running up that ramp. I mean, you don't know what's waiting for you up there. I mean, he knows meters are out, Infestors can't be there, but what if there was a burrowed Baneling for some reason?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Something crazy could have happened. But you know what? ClouD was able to make that snap call, and as a result, gets way ahead, wins game number 1 very decisively. Game number 1 was brought to you by LABite.com for home delivery service for food. Use promo code NASL by going to LABite.com and using it at checkout. In fact, here's a little commercial to tell you everything about LA Bite.